Hi, thanks for joining me. So my first interview in this series was with the fabulous Tattie from Tattie Rose Flowers, based down in Dorset. During the interview we have a few kind of breaks of connection, so apologies for the quality in places. And also bless Tattie, she just had a baby. She was feeding her little boy during the interview, so if you hear any little noises, that's a gorgeous little boy. But I hope you enjoy the interview. I am here with Tattie from Tattie Rose Flowers. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Sarah.
So thank you for joining me in my kitchen and you in your beautiful house in the sunshine. So we're recording this interview during crazy COVID times. So I've got you a nice list of questions, but obviously we can touch on that and what's happening, because it's not a normal time for us, is it, at the moment?
No, very, very bizarre and strange, but wonderful in many ways and sad in others.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're focusing on the good. I think that is always good for me.
Yeah.
Tell me your story. Tell me how you got into forestry.
Well, I was not really sure what I wanted to do in life. After I left school, I just always knew that I wanted to do something that meant I could be outside and be creative. And I sort of accidentally got a job after I left school working for an amazing event florist, just as a sort of bucket carrier. And so I was 18 and I went along for quite a few jobs, just sweeping and carrying buckets all over the place, all over the country. And then after I'd done probably about 8 jobs with her as the bucket carrier. I think they ran out of time in the church, and all the team left to go back to the marquee. And the lady in charge turned to me and said, "Tattie, we need to do the font. Can you do it?" And I got left a sort of a load of flowers and a pair of scissors, having never touched flowers before in my life. And I made what I sort of did this big font arrangement. And then anyway, next wedding that she asked me back to go back, and she said, "But this time could you help us do flowers?" So that's sort of how it started, and I fell completely in love with it. And that was when I was 18. I'm 34, nearly 34. So yeah, it's been most of my life, really.
Wow, that's amazing. And did you do any like formal training, or was it all on the job training?
Well, I have never done a course or anything like that, but I have worked. I worked after I worked for that lady, and then I've worked in very
hang on a minute.
Places before I learns better. Did you lose me then?
Yeah, you just
Didn't lose it. No.
Yeah. So say that bit again.
What was I saying?
So how you do formal training, but you work with lots of different people.
So I worked with lots of different for lots of different people, learning what to and what not to do. I think even more, but I've never done formal training. Although more recently I have, in that I've done a few courses, day courses with Shane Connolly, but not to begin with.
Fab. Oh, Shane's amazing. I studied a little bit with him, and he did an arrangement, and it made me cry. Like he is amazing.
He's my complete idol. I love his flowers, and I love his sort of ethos on flowers as well. And yeah, to me, he's just amazing and a very nice person.
Yeah, absolutely, and really giving as well. I think, you know, like in
really
his
giving
knowledge and like his passion and this thing.
And he's so passionate about sustainability that makes him so generous about it being, you know, brought into flowers in this day and age, especially in events where it's usually so badly, you know, meant to be natural, and yet somehow we sort of lose that message completely so often.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I think he inspired me to use a lot of plants as well. Do you find that?
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, my whole garden is full of plants left over from events that we planted in the garden. And my mum's actually. Trees as well, lots of trees.
Yeah, same here. My mother-in-law as well, and my mum. They've all plant hospital and events.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're a bit tired and sad, and then they just bring them back to life.
Yeah. If I go to my mum's house, she's like, and these are hydrangeas from the V&A, and these ones are from that wedding in Scotland. Oh.
So where do you cover then as a business? So you've got a business, and how many people kind of work in your team?
Well, me and my husband Fred run it. He does all the bits that I'm bad at, and also we have 3 children who we decided to stick together as a family. And I don't think I could have carried on Tattie Rose Flowers if it wasn't for him doing it with me, because I think as a girl in any industry really, but I think there's a reason why there's a lot of men at the top, because it's really hard to do both unless you've got amazing support, because it is antisocial hours, and it's I mean, there's so many jobs that are like that as well, but I think we made a decision to do it together, and so he runs it with me. And then we have my sister Isabella, she works for us full time, and then we have a team of, most of my team are family.
Amazing.
So but because it sort of works, because although we are based in Dorset, we travel all over. In fact, I hardly ever do any weddings in Dorset. They usually as well, we were in Norway last year, Ireland, Scotland, one end of the country to the other on various weekends. And so the fact that we're a family team really helps, because we have to camp sometimes, or we stay here, or we stay there.
Amazing.
And then the team that were just freelance people have kind of become family now. So as well. So our team is our main asset, definitely.
I think that's true for most places. If you've got that team behind you, you can do anything. I say that to my team too. Like, I feel with their backing, literally, like, we can do anything. There's nothing we can't do.
Yeah.
And it is interesting what you're saying about having a family as well, and that becoming it's a lifestyle, isn't it? This job, I would say, especially when
definitely is. And I think sometimes it works. And the thing that works with us is that my mum works with us on every event, and when we're working and doing flowers, I'm in charge, and it's like, probably no one would be able to tell that we were, that she was my mum. And then the moment we all stop for lunch, I go, "Oh, mummy, what's for lunch?" And she becomes my mummy again. And she'll like tell me to make sure tie my hair back because it looks scruffy and stuff. And then we finish lunch and we go back to work, and then we're back at work. And so I think that's kind of how it works well.
Yeah, definitely. I work with my parents too, actually. It is interesting, isn't it, how but then they know you, like, the best qualities of you, the best qualities of them, and and obviously they ultimately care more than anyone else, because they're your family and they want you to do well. So
exactly,
I think that works well. So tell me, like, do you have like a typical week, like, wedding wise?
Yeah, so because our events are of quite a large scale. So we really only do one, occasionally 2, but really it's only one on a weekend.
Right.
And it really, each one takes up 6.5 days of a 7-day week, I feel. So what usually happens is that flowers start arriving in our workshops on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on how much they need to open and where they're going and the temperature, etc. And on those days, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're also cleaning vases, prepping, getting all our kit together, loading vans, conditioning flowers. Then on Thursday, we cut greenery, because we use a lot of foliage different greenery in our arrangements. and we cut all our own. Oh, sorry, I've just covered the camera. Oh, Paula.
Hello. Right. Yes. That's me.
Yes.
So where your workshop is, there's loads of greenery.
Oh, so no, where my workshop, we rent our workshop, and we are from a bigger estate, privately owned estate, and we they have lots of woodland, and we can cut our own greenery, which we buy from them. So we have access to amazing greenery, and it's really important to me because it's a huge part of our flowers.
Yeah, massive. And that's what really stands out, like in all the images that I see of your work. It's just like this beautiful kind of wild, gorgeous, elegant greenery everywhere. Oh, I love it. I wouldn't know how to do an arrangement without greenery.
It's funny, isn't it? I wouldn't know. I would panic if I couldn't get any greenery. So yeah, I would rather do a whole wedding with no flowers than be given a lorry load of flowers and no greenery. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd have to give it to someone else to do it.
But then do you feel like, because you've been doing this a long time now, like you're really committed to that style? So like if someone came to you and said, I want this, would you be like, do your clients now come to you because they know that's your style?
Yeah, I think so. I think generally people do that, but I think it's good to be adaptable, but I think you've also got to get that fine balance, haven't you, of staying true to yourself and but also being adaptable. So there are ones where they want it to be where I've done ones that are more sort of flower heavy, but I feel like greenery, like the use of greenery sets flowers alive, so that's just, so I wouldn't I don't know, it wouldn't feel right to me not to use it, but I would like to try, would I? Maybe, I don't know, yeah.
When you're talking about it, like you can see it light up. Do you know what I mean? So it's obviously like that's your thing, like you going and foraging and getting it.
Yeah, and I think, and I will work really hard to find good greenery. So it's not just like just hacking it down. It's really thought out, and I get so excited if I find something like wild honeysuckle or dog rose. Like, to me, I kind of count that as greenery. Yeah. So and I'll like climb on the roof of my van on the side of motorways to cut it down if I see it.
I don't know what the name is, but there is a certain like gathering of florists that are like that. Like you're out for a walk and you spot something and you're like, oh my god, look at that. I did it the other day.
That's what I am.
With clematis that was growing near us. I was like, and then made my boys go out and get some on the way back. I was like, can we just go get some?
Yeah. Fred goes, eyes on the road, Tattie, not in the hedges. sorry, yeah. So I like drive along like, oh god, no. Look at those catkins.
It's true though, and I think once you've got that in you, it's great. It's, and now you're passing it on to like the next generation as well. When you get out for walks, I'm sure like your kids are picking it up and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure they are, and I think and also I'm so glad. My husband said before he married me, he didn't even notice. Like, he barely noticed the seasons changing. Really, not well. He did in terms of like, oh, you can have a beer in the evening now outside. But he said he never noticed like cow parsley or buttercups arriving suddenly and whatever it is. And I'm like the total opposite. I'll notice day to day the changes. And now he's got really into it as well, and really perceptive of all the little minute things that happen day to day.
It's the best. It's gorgeous. So in terms of your like dream for like the business, like obviously because of the times that we're talking now, like all of our weddings are probably not going to happen this year. They've all been moved to next year. But in terms of like a goal for like the future, is there anything that you've kind of set? You're like, oh, I'd love to do that, or I've seen this and I want to do this, or?
I was thinking about this. My goals changed, I think, day to day. When I first started my business, it's turned out so different to how I thought it would ever be. so different to how I thought I wanted it to be. And my goal is that I suppose my goal is that I can continue to support my children with it. I mean, I don't. I'd like to always keep being able to stay true to the flowers that I love, and not have to kind of sell my soul too much to be able to keep providing for my family. Really, that's probably my goal. I don't really have anyone I particularly want to. It doesn't matter really. It's just people. I'd like to do flowers. People who like my flowers, really.
Awesome. That's great, amazing. That's it, isn't it? And just carry on doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, just also I think this time has really taught me that as well. This last few months, that actually, I think everyone got into a bit of a busy rat race and competitive, and actually I just want to be able to look after my family. So maybe we all need to think a bit more like that after this ends.
I totally agree. I think I definitely realised it's Saturday morning. I don't know what you feel about Saturday mornings, but there are some Saturday mornings I'm really thinking, thank God I don't have to get up for a wedding today. And it's nice to have that time.
And I think everyone can get a tiny bit greedy because it's habit rather than actual greed. It feels like you ought to be really busy, and if your diary's not packed to the brim, you're not doing well, or something like that. But actually, no one, it's not the case. And
and I think absolutely, I totally agree. And it's like, what are you working for? And if you can work to support your family and have some nice holidays occasionally, and just be happy and enjoy your job, then
exactly.
And the harder you work, the more you work, I think there's a danger that you won't enjoy it as much. Do you know what I mean?
And you'll probably burn out as well, I think.
That's it.
And I don't want to burn out. I don't want to lose the passion either.
No. So what, this is a really awkward question, but what do you think has been your most challenging event so far?
The first event I ever did was the most challenging set of circumstances, and it was such bad luck that it happened to be my first, but it snowed so much. It was in December, and there was so much snow that they almost cancelled the wedding. But we couldn't eat, but the only way you could get to the venue in the end was by tractor and trailer, and I had made all the flowers in a village hall nearby because they were so big I couldn't transport them from home. So anyway, it was hell. We did it, but it was hell. So that was one of the most challenging ones. And then the other most challenging one, I think, has to be working in a glass marquee on the 6th of August. One of the great big PVI glass structures. And to sort of add to the difficultness of being in basically a greenhouse trying to do fresh flowers, was that they then put air conditioning units in it.
Everything's getting blasted.
Yeah. So it was like, I didn't know which was better or worse. But anyway, it was absolutely fine in the end. And but it was really, 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 really challenging. And now I feel like, having done streams, because temperature has so much to do with flowers. I think, even today I was like, God, I'm glad I'm not doing flowers this weekend if it's going to be this hot. Have I lost you?
Yeah, it just keeps going on. Sorry, silly thing. Technology. I think, thank goodness that we are not having to deal with hydrangea or something. No.
Yeah.
I
think temperature, too hot, tense. That's a nightmare, but doable.
Yeah. Well, the things we do, the stress, and of course your clients know absolutely nothing about most of this.
I know. Well, hopefully they don't.
Hopefully they don't. Yeah, God, stress. We're talking about Shane Connolly earlier. Oh, little baby. Interviewing with a baby. I mean, amazing.
Oh, did you see his little head? On my boob, sorry. Edit out my boob in the middle of that.
Superhuman. I was gonna say, yeah, so we'll talk about Shane Connolly. So is that like your inspiration is like at the moment, like one, he's obviously a part of like floristry inspiration. And is there anyone else that you kind of like, where do you get your...
I think Shane is amazing. I follow lots of people on Instagram, but I don't look very often at Instagram because I think it can be a little bit stifling of creativity, actually, if you spend too long looking at other people's stuff. But there's the two people that I always go to their page to look at is Shane and Emily Thompson, who's an American florist, and she's just got, her flowers have such grit and like realness, and but also just so wacky and wonderful. I would love to meet Emily one day as well.
I'll write her down, Emily Thompson.
So those are my big floral
crushes,
inspirations. Yeah.
And then in terms of, so when you're working with your clients, you take inspiration from like the season, like passionate about seasonal stuff, yeah?
Yeah. And I think I always, whenever I meet a bride or anyone doing to do flowers for an event, I say, send me pictures of anything you love, because it's trying to paint a picture on their big day of them. So like, even if it's, I say like a cover of a book or piece of fabric or a place or whatever, a song, I don't know, just then you get the feeling of what they like and love and their spirit, and then hopefully you can translate that into the flowers. Sending photos of other people's, like when they send me loads of photos of other flowers and work, that isn't hugely helpful, because then you're just trying to copy something rather than make something fresh and new. But obviously to a certain extent that's done, but that is one of the negatives of Pinterest and Instagram, I think.
It's like it's like someone else's end result, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's much better if you can get there on your together, you know, by building your own thing. Obviously you do take inspiration from others, but I think it's dangerous sometimes to look too much, or you end up just trying without even realizing it. I think you end up thinking I ought to be following this trend, or I ought to be doing things more like that. I'm definitely more creative when I haven't looked on my computer or Instagram for a while.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And when you're doing your like marquees and your events and things, so in terms of like the flowers, because I know it's like you've got like the tablecloths are beautiful, the detail. How much do you get involved in that? Is that something you want to do more of, or is it more floral, or the whole thing?
Well, when I usually do my mood boards, I don't really call it styling or anything like that, because I think then that would put too much pressure on actually doing that side of it. But I always do put what I imagine it would go best with. So I will like build my mood boards up with fabric colors, what they would all look like, the ingredients, and I usually put in a couple of things that I think would work well, and whether they, you know, and then it's, I don't really, I feel like there's lots of people doing beautiful tablescapes, sort of that side of things, so and probably much better than me, but they do go definitely hand in hand. So I think trying to sort of suggest what you think would look nice with your flowers is probably more what I do, rather than too much styling. Yeah, I also don't, I like doing all the big stuff, so like, you know, bringing trees inside, so I get much more excited about that than a tablescape, but they are fun, you know, it's fun doing the little bits too. Just kind of feed shelter at the same time. Oh, sorry, put my thumb over.
Are you all right? Do you want to carry on?
Yeah.
Multitasking. What I was going to say, so in terms of like the future then, so next year, I think, I'm just really tapped by myself. Next year is weddings. So you've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and a baby.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, how is it going to, I'm just thinking like projection for like your business in the future, you know, like school and stuff. So maybe like for the next few years, your business model can kind of carry on where you can move around together, but then do you see that it might change? Do you think it'll change with school and stuff, or what's your plan?
Well, so when actually what happens is Fred and I aren't on site together. So one of us is always at home. So Fred usually goes on Thursdays to the site, and we'll do the rigging and with whoever else goes, and I'm at home. And then on Friday and Saturdays I'm on site with the team, and Fred is at home. So we hope that the other reason why we are doing it together is that one of us is always at home. We also have amazing parents, which we're really lucky. So if there is, we did one massive one last year where I needed Fred there to just and boys went with their granny for 3 days. But generally speaking, and it works because I work a lot early in the morning, late at night on my paperwork, so that I'm around for them in the day when I'm not on site. And then when I'm on site, I work really, really hard, and then so that when I get back, I can be with them completely. It's juggling, but it always is, isn't it, with children? And I think everyone's realizing that now, that they're doing home.
I think they are.
Schooling, and
I think people will find it interesting that I know a few people who do like husband and wife kind of working together. I met do you know Bows and Arrows in the States? So
no.
Husband and wife team, and they travel all over doing like destination weddings, but they work just the two of them, and then bringing freelancers and the kids. It's interesting how people work together. Yeah. I managed to work with my husband for like 3 months. That was it. Then I got another job.
I think and I think it's also really lucky if you don't try and do it if you don't work well together.
Yeah,
it could be so dangerous, but it for some reason it works really well with us, and we decided to have a little less and spend more time together. There was the option of so that's what we decided to do, and it works for us, but it probably wouldn't work for everyone.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's really interesting. I love it. So what I was going to say, random question. What's the snack that you have in your toolbox that keeps you going on site?
Hula hoops. Bags and bags and bags. Hula hoops.
Amazing.
And also it's brilliant because I can blame them on my children.
Yeah, lifestyle.
and obviously gallons of tea. Amazing.
What kind of tea do you drink?
Normal English breakfast, strong. Hang on, I've lost you again. There we go. I've always said that if I could have one superpower, it would be that a cup of tea comes out of my finger. The perfect cup of tea comes out of my finger like that. I just have it whenever I wanted. It's not happened yet.
That's brilliant. You need one of those, like, what they call, like, backpacks with a straw thing.
Yeah, or a beer helmet, with
looking good. I think that's totally on brand. I think that's awesome.
So professional.
But yeah, so and then in terms of, it's going to kick us off this thing in a minute because you only get a certain amount of time with the neck. In terms of if you were a florist and like you had advice for like somebody who wants to be a florist, and what advice would you give them?
This was such a good question. I would say learn how to do flowers foam free.
Nice.
Learn that way, because I didn't learn that way. I learned with masses of flat oasis, because until the last 3 years, everyone was oblivious to its kind of negatives. And so really, like, we've had to semi-start again really on the big structures, on how to do them. So I would say learn how to do flowers. If you can do flowers foam free, all those big things, then you can do anything with flowers. And my other thing would be always to just go against the grain. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Yeah. Because then you're just then you're just doing the same. So, but yeah, that would probably be my advice.
I wish you lived nearer. I wish you lived there. You live too far away. I always say that, like, if everyone else is doing it, I don't want to do it. Like, that is like one of the phrases that I say, because I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. You know, I don't want it. It's really, but I think it's hard in this kind of day and age, and when you're coming into a business and stuff, people want to see what everyone else is doing and, you know, join in, don't they? But I think it's so important to you.
I found when I first started Flowers, Instagram didn't exist, but I just didn't even know about any other florists at all, apart from the lady that I sort of worked for when I was younger and the few people I'd worked for. And I really think that was when I was the most creative, because you just imagining things and making them happen. Whereas if you're always looking at, I don't know, it doesn't breed creativity. It breeds copying or imitating or feeling or lacking confidence because you're not doing the same as them or in a different way, and you think that then you question yourself. Whereas if you don't look, you just go for it, and it's much more exciting.
Yay! I love that. Love it. Love it. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Little hand, look.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I've loved chatting away about our mutual passion.
Crazy. We must be crazy.